Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in today's video we will discuss about how you can migrate to a partially contained database. Before we proceed ahead, I would request all you guys to please go ahead, if you are in case new to this channel, or if you are watching this channel from quite a long time but not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and right away uh, subscribe to this channel. There is a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon. Select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future videos. So guys, please go ahead. Let me give you 5 minutes. Please go ahead and do subscribe to my channel right away. I'm waiting. So guys, I hope you have subscribed to my channel by now. Now let's come to today's topic, which is how you can migrate to a partially contained database in SQL Server. So if you have not watched my previous video, please go ahead and do so. It was on contained databases. What are contained databases? We have discussed upon that. So if you want to gain an idea regarding what are contained databases, please go ahead and watch my previous video. Alright, let me move ahead. There are some points to remember while watching this video. Please watch this video till the end to gain better clarity of the concept, and if it's possible for you, please watch this video twice. Perform many exercises in your test and lab environments only. Do not touch any production environment or production databases. We would like to know your thoughts regarding our videos, so please do share your comments, suggestion, feedback, any requirements, maybe your day-to-day experiences with SQL Server. Maybe you can share about the situation where my content has helped you somewhere. We eagerly wait for your stories and would love to read them. Alright, so please go ahead and do comment on the videos you watch. Alright, I have created some playlists for you to watch. Some of these playlists are SQL Server database design playlist, table, business continuity, indexing, performance tuning, and integration services playlist. I have listed out the videos or mentioned the videos each playlist contains. There are more than 200 videos present on my channel. Channel page link is given below. Also, the links to all these playlists and channel are given in the video description area. So please go ahead and watch out the video description areas. Alright, now let's come back to today's topic, which is how to migrate to a partially contained database. So guys, this topic will contain some practicals as well, so be ready for that. Alright, so you need access to a SQL Server environment, so make sure you have that access. Alright, let's go to notes quickly and let's discuss upon notes. Then thereafter we will perform some practicals. Alright, so today's topic is how to migrate to a partially contained database. Now, this topic discusses about how to prepare to change to a partially contained database model and then provides the migration steps. Alright. So in this video we will show you how you can migrate to a partially contained database. So what are partially contained databases? So partially contained databases are those databases basically which relies on items that are outside of database boundary. Maybe it can be logins or any other user databases or system databases, whatever. So if the database require reliance on some of the items that are that are outside of database boundary, so those are called partially contained databases. If you want to know more about them, please watch my previous video, which was a theory session I had conducted. Now there are some of the preparations required to migrate a database. So what are these preparations? So review the following items. So basically review of the following items is required when planning for any kind of migration. So what are these items? So first of all, we need the understanding of partially contained database model. So what is that model? So that is covered in previous video. So you should watch that video out to gain better clarity on what the partially contained database is. Alright. Now you should have an understanding of risks that are unique to the partially contained databases. So there are some risks involved or limitations involved with the partially contained database model. So you should be aware of those risks. Please watch out my previous video. I'm reiterating it again. And next point is contained or partially contained databases do not support any kind of replication. So you should be aware of that. If you make your database partially contained, it will not support the replication, and it will not support the change data capture feature as well, which is used for ETL purpose. Alright, so it will not support the change data capture. It will not support any kind of replication, or will not support any kind of change tracking. Alright, and we basically need to confirm that our database does not use these features before if we want to move our database to a, or if we want our database to migrate to a partially contained database. So we need to ensure that our database is not using any kind of replication, and our database is not using any kind of change data capture for any ETL purpose. And third thing is, it should not be change tracking should not be enabled on the database. Alright, so once we confirm these items, the next step is we need to review the list of features that are modified for partially contained databases. So we should make a list of features and review them before we modify a particular database to make it a partially contained database. One more thing is we can query this catalog view. So the view is sys.dm. Let me make it with a different color to highlight it. One second, let me make it with the red color. So we have this view. So we can query sys.dmdb uncontained entities. So this view basically gives us all the entities that are not contained within the databases, and these entities are basically outside of the database boundary which database is using. So it lists out that information. In our previous video we have shown you how to use this dynamic management view. Let me also trigger SQL Server in the background. Alright, so basically we query this queue to find any uncontained objects or features in the database. Alright, and next point is, okay, let me connect to the default instance of the SQL Server. Alright, let's move to the notes. So the last point is we should monitor the database uncontained usage X event, which is an X event, right? To see, we will discuss about X events later, what are those. So keep an eye regarding my upcoming videos. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. That is very useful at this point. Now let's see what has to be done next. So basically we should monitor database uncontained usage X event to see when the uncontained features are being used. Alright. Now there are some demos which I am covering. So give me a moment guys here. So guys, first practical is on how you can enable the contained databases using the Transact-SQL and the SQL Server Management Studio. So let me share some of the examples here. So first, let me take one database. So let's take MyDB as the sample database here. Alright, it has some tables. Alright, and let's see what the collation is. However, it doesn't matter at this time. It is using the Chinese collation. Alright, now let me make this database contained database or partially contained database. So let's trigger a new query. So this query will enable contained databases on the instance of SQL Server database engine. So this is not this query is not database specific. So if you want to use the contained databases on the instance of your SQL Server should be enabled to hold the contained databases. So the example I'm sharing is basically, through this example we will enable the contained databases on the instance of SQL Server database engine. So let me write that down. To enable contained databases, which is a feature on the instance of SQL Server, right? Let's trigger a query. So there's a stored procedure. We configure, this is a setting, configuration setting, which we need to enable. So the name of the setting is contained database authentication. So your system should be supporting the contained database authentication. So this is one of the features, and you need to set this feature to 1 to enable it. Alright, so I've enabled this feature. After that you can type in go, and to reconfigure this feature you just need to type reconfigure, so that this setting should immediately take effect. Then you need to type go. Let's execute this procedure to enable the contained databases on this particular instance of SQL Server. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so configuration option is changed from 0 to 1. So you see it was earlier set to 0. So contained databases were not enabled on our this instance of SQL Server. They were not enabled. So I have enabled it now. So make a note of this, guys. And alright, let me show you how you can do the same step, how you can enable the contained databases using the SQL Server Management Studio. This is the T-SQL way to do the things. Now let me show you how you can do it via the graphical user interface. So in order to enable the contained database authentication, you need to right click on the server, right? This is server. And then you need to go to properties. On the advanced page on the left hand side, let's go to advanced page. So if you go to advanced page, there is a containment section just right at the top, right? So we have a setting enabled contained databases. So you need to set this option to true. Now it is set to, it is already set to true. We have, because we have enabled contained databases via the T-SQL script. So if you want to disable them, you can do false. If you want to enable them, just set it to true. So let's keep it to true. Let's cancel this out. So this is the graphical way to enable the contained databases on your system. Now this demo is done. Now let's talk about another demo, which is how you can convert a database to a partially contained database using Transact-SQL and SSMS. Alright, so we will make our database a partially contained database. So let's use this as an example. Alright, so let me save this contained database as contained databases query. Let me write my other queries inside that only. So I will write it here. Now let me convert a database to a partially contained database using the following Transact-SQL. So how to convert a database to a partially contained database. Alright, so how to do that? Please write out the steps. So first of all, you need to be in the master database, otherwise you can explicitly specify to use the master database. Next step is go. Then next step is you need to alter the particular database to make it a partially contained database. So here I'm altering the database MyDB. So we'll put in the database name, and we basically set the containment option. So there is a containment option which makes the database a contained database. So set the containment option to partial to make it a partially contained database. After that you need to press in, type in go. Now let's execute this query to make it a partial database. MyDB a partial database, partially contained database to be specific. Alright, so this is the T-SQL way to make a database a partially contained database. Now let me show you how you can convert a database to a partially contained database using the SQL Server Management Studio. In order to do that, you need to expand the databases section, which is already expanded in my scenario. You need to right click on the database that has to be converted. So I want to convert MyDB, right? Though it is already converted to a partially contained database. I'm just showing you how you can do it via the SQL Server Management Studio. Now we need to go to the properties of this database, expand the properties screen. On the left hand side there is options section. So click on the options area, and there's a containment type option. So let's look out for that option. So we have a section for containment over here, right? So do we have any options like containment type? It is not showing me the containment type option. Do we see it here? So do we see partial written over somewhere here? Check it out, guys. I don't see partial written. Okay, that's property you will find on the top. So here we have containment type, which is set to partial, right? So in SQL Server, we only support partially contained databases and not a fully contained databases we do not support in SQL Server. So we only support either non-containment type or the partial containment type. So right now it is set to partial. Otherwise, if it's set to none, you can make a database, a partially contained database by setting partial. Alright, so this is the way to do that. Alright, now this demo is also done. Let me take you to next demo, which is how to migrate users to contained database users. So basically, we will show you the migration of users to a contained database user. So we will make the users contained database users. So let's see that example, how to do that. So the next step is migrating users to contained database users. All right. And now the example I'm discussing will migrate all users that are based on SQL Server logins, right? So we can check the users based on SQL Server logins under the security login section. So these are all the logins, right? And there is a user object tied to it, right? So the example I'm discussing will migrate all the users that are based on SQL Server logins to contain database users with passwords. Okay. And this example includes the logins that are not enabled. So, so basically we will not include, we will exclude the logins that are not enabled. So some of the logins have cross-X, like SA account is disabled on this database. So this will not migrate. The other accounts or logins which are enabled, we will migrate those as database users or contained database users. Alright, so let's go ahead and do so. So this will be a lengthy query. Don't panic if you don't get the idea of this query. But yeah, I will be explaining this query as soon as long as I'm going along writing this query. So I'm declaring some variables, basically declaring a username variable. So, and the name of this user variable is sysname, where we hold the system name. And we are declaring another variable, which is a user cursor, right? Cursor, the role of cursor is to go through rows one by one. So it's like a pointer, right? So let's specify a cursor. The name of the cursor is cursor. So this is the type, right? So we have declared a user cursor, which is a cursor, and this declaration include the for keyword. For which object do we want this cursor? So we want this cursor for, I need to specify a select statement to give it a data. So this cursor will be defined on that data. So let me select the name. I'm taking it as DP from the database. There are databases like catalog views like database principles. All right. And we are taking it as DP. That's why I've taken DP name over here, right? So we are taking sys.database principles. I'm joining it with the sys.server principles. Principles here are referring to the logins. All right. So we are taking all database principles and we are taking server principles. So do we see database have logins? So if we go to MyDB, under MyDB you see security section as well, right? So expand security. Under that we have users, right? So we can see users. So these are some of the users which are called database principals. And apart from that, we have server principals, which are these users. All right, so we are joining both of them, and let's take the server principal as SP, and we are taking the database principal names. All right, from this query, and we are pointing a cursor to this output. All right. So let's join them on these seed values. So we need to make a match, whatever the mapping is. I'm taking it through this, right? So we are matching this database principles with the server principles and taking the data along, right? So every database security user, like for example DBU user has a mapping with certain user in the server principles, right? So basically we are matching the database principles with the server principles, and then we are taking that data and we are matching on the basis of SID, and we are taking condition where the authentication type is 1. All right, and so by authentication type we means the where the database where the partial authentication is enabled, where we have a partial database. So that's why I've given the authentication type of 1. And for server principles, so on the database level, we are checking whether the authentication type is 1, which is that it's a partially contained database. Alright, and for server principles, I'm taking the whether they are disabled or not. We are not taking any entries which are disabled. So for example, we will not be taking SA or these accounts. So that's why I'm taking that data. So I've taken this condition. So is disabled equal to 0 means all give me all the entries which are enabled. Alright. So now our cursor is set. So what we do after setting the cursor? So we declare a cursor as a cursor type and we specify the for clause and give the output of data. Now the cursor is established on this particular data or pointing to this data, right? And if we select, we will get some data, right? So these are some of the data we got, right? So these two users within the system. Uh, this is the DP names or database principal names, which have authentication type of 1, and they are not, their server principal is not disabled. Alright, so let me go ahead and open the cursor. So now we will use this cursor as a pointer. So the name of the cursor is the user cursor, right? Let me open that cursor, user cursor. So once it is open, let me fetch rows. So fetch next row, I would say, from user cursor, right? So we are using cursor over here and we are taking that name. So we got this output, right? When we run just this part of this query. So now this pointer is pointing to this data, which is around like 64 rows. So we are fetching these rows one by one, checking the DP name and putting that DP name into a username variable, right? So we had defined the username variable over here, which is basically I'm taken it as a sysname type, right? So I'm storing this data over here. Now I will run the while loop. All right. Now while there's a fetch status option we can use for cursor. So fetch status if we set to 0 means run this loop until this cursor has rows or data, which is 64 rows. So this loop will run for all the rows. Now let me start the begin part and the end part of the loop. So under the begin and end, let me run some code. So write down this code. So what we are doing is we are executing so there's a stored procedure to migrate the user. So this stored procedure is sp migrate user. That's not giving me that option. So I'm using the correct one. So sp migrate user to contained user is the option. So yeah, this is the correct one. So please remember the name of the stored procedure sp migrate user to contained. So It will make these logins a contained user within the database, which right now has these 4 users, okay, in under the user section. So let's see what happens once we run this query. So first step is to execute this stored procedure, and I'm using the username variable as username, right, which is fetched by the cursor. So we are setting the username of that. So we are passing in arguments to this stored procedure. So this stored procedure requires the username, which I'm fetching from the user cursor username section, right? So let's provide the another argument, which is renaming it. So for renaming, regarding renaming, uh, I'm taking it as Unicode character, and we are keeping the original name by specifying the keep name option. Now the next argument we are supplying is the disable login, whether we want to disable the login after it is migrated. So we are taking it as Unicode type, and I'm specifying disable the login. Alright, so this is done. Disable underscore login, it's actually. Alright, so almost, yeah, all the arguments are passed, and we need to then increment the counter for the loop. So we will do fetch next from user cursor, right, into username. Alright, so this loop will run until the cursor has all the 64 rows, until it completes all the 64 rows. So this is the end part, and in the end what we will do, we will close our cursor. So we are closing the close user cursor, right, and we basically, after closing the user cursor, we deallocate the user cursor. Alright, so this is done, guys, and yeah, let me execute the code and we will see what happens after that. So let's execute it. So it is saying it cannot be used in a non-contained database. So I need to, I think, specify use the MyDB database over here, because over the top we have master selected. So I need to specify which database I need to use it against. Alright, so I think it should run now. So it is completed successfully because my DB database is a contained database. So we are able to run the query successfully. Now if I refresh the user section, let's see if the query has made any changes here. No, but our users are migrated, that's for sure. We will talk about that later on, how to check the users which are migrated. But yeah, this is generally the procedure to migrate users to the contained database. Now they are all migrated to the contained database. Alright, so we should be fine here. Alright, in my upcoming videos I will show you how to use those contained users, but we are not discussing it over here. So for now, let's keep it to this, and I'm done with this video. Guys, I hope you like this video. If you really like this video, please go ahead and click on the like button which is below this video. And guys, in case you need the PDF copy of the notes for any of my videos, it will be on a paid basis. I'm charging 25 INR for a per page of notes. So in case you need the PDF notes for any topics, do send me a request via email. My email address is vrmavane@gmail.com. Send me your email with the title of the video for which you want the notes, and I will send you the payment link for the same. And upon making payment, you will be able to download the PDF notes. Alright, and I thank you so much for your time on this video today. And guys, again, I'm reiterating, if you're new to this channel, or if you're watching my videos from quite a long time but not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. There's a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon. Select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my upcoming videos. Alright, so my video release schedule is like I release from Monday to Friday at 6 p.m. IST time. I release a video every day from Monday to Friday. On Saturdays and Sundays, I do not release any videos as of now. But yeah, if there's a, if I see a large demand uh, on Sundays and Saturdays, uh, I will start preparing videos for Sundays and Saturdays rollout as well. Alright, so do let us know if you want us to publish videos on Sundays and Saturdays. Do post us your comments, suggestions, any kind of feedbacks. And also you can share your stories with us over the comments regarding SQL Server. And you may also share any stories where my content has helped you somewhere in some way. So guys, that's it. And the last request from my end is, if you have a good network of friends with you, and if they also work in the SQL Server domain, please, I would request you to ask your friends to please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, so that my videos can also make a difference in their life. And also you can share these videos you watch on my channel with your friends via the share button on YouTube. You can share it with them so that they can also watch the good stuff. Alright, that's it for today, guys. I hope you have subscribed by now. Alright, so thank you so much for your time on this video today, and you have a wonderful day ahead, guys. Thank you.